Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White, where we discuss the issues that are plaguing the underserved communities and the LGBT communities here in America, and how we also work on what we talk about ways and how we can solve these issues. Tonight we have a regularly scheduled guest tonight, Mr. Bryant Tucker, that will not be with us tonight. He just informed me that he's not going to be able to make it due to a security detail that just popped up for him. So, with that being said, we will go forward and we're going to continue to talk about the things that I think people need to know a lot about here in the current events, and some things that I think would be fruitful as you work towards this thing that's coming up that we called an election. Well, as we talk about that, let me just state the first thing about that. Um, it's important that each and every individual that's registered to vote, that you guys go vote. For those that are not registered and still have time to register, please go and register to vote. What has been transpiring on these airwaves, on that is on TV, that's radio, the internet, is that everybody's getting all forms of what I consider to be falsehoods that are being presented, and they're being presented by so many different people. That is from political parties to these PAC groups that donate to these campaigns. Um, there's just a lot that they're doing that I think people really should just take heed to. And let me just say this, I don't think people should want to be swayed when it comes to voting. I think people should vote the way they feel. So for those that, feel like you have to vote for, I'll say, for those that feel like they need to vote, for the Trump side. If you feel you need to vote that way, then that's fine. But I would suggest, and what I do hope is that for people that are doing that, that they do the one thing that really needs to be done, and that is please don't try to sway people to vote for Donald Trump because you say Donald Trump is going to do an enormous amount of things for America. Now, I think anybody that can lead an attack on this country is a treasonous to me, and I'm a military veteran. Um, Anybody that does that, that's a treasonous to me, and that is somebody that deserve to be prosecuted. They deserve to be jailed. That's without a doubt. That's a criminal. But for those that like criminals and want to vote for a criminal, that is your right to vote for that criminal. For those of you that also not just voting for a criminal, you're also voting for a rapist, you're voting for a racist, you're also voting for a person that's not financially sound. And I think for those that are sane, they would know that they would not vote for somebody like that because the interest is just not there. Now, as I say this, because I am going to the other side, I will tell you I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I don't support either party. Now, for those on the Democratic side, there's a lot of loose ends that have not been tied up. Some people are fed up with those. And again, that's your right to be fed up with those. But I do think that at least there are more parts of that side, I think, that are leading towards, some civility to the extent that you can survive and you can live. Now, as it comes down to myself, because I always vote and I always keep a focus on what's happening politically here in this country, because the effects for me as an African American male means more than anything, that I have to make sure that I more than just proceed with caution. That is when it comes to my life, even though I'm supposedly I have rights to live my life, but I can't. And the reason why I can't is because the policies and a lot of things that are taking place right now, they haven't been taken away. And that is for the things that repress me more. A lot of those things have not been taken away. So because they're not taken away, that does not mean that, for one, if I decided I wanted to vote for Kamala Harris, that means that I am a, what they call it, a progressive, I'm a liberal, I'm all those things. No, it does not mean that. But what that does mean is that if I'm voting my conscience for what's going to best serve me, then that means that I will vote for somebody like that. And that is the case because I have endorsed that young lady. I believe that the policies that she have can still make my life a little bit easier and a little bit better. Yes, she's going to raise taxes, but the taxes that are going to be raised, they're not really going to affect me in that manner. It's more so they're going to be raising the taxes to take a little bit more from that top 1% that's not paying their due, they're just due in taxes. Now, there's many emphasis, and there's many things that people talk about when it comes to raising taxes. Now, in this case, let me just say that being a small businesses will get more advantages than they have before. It's not completely insanely to where you're not paying taxes, but there will be an enormous amount of help for you. Now, if you are in that top tier and you have to pay your due share of taxes, I don't see a problem with that. Why is it that the folk on the bottom are continuously having to pay for the country and build the country? There's nothing fair about that. And the things that what I have pulled from people that I have spoken with that are talking about voting for the conservative side, the Trump side, they're telling me that small businesses will get more of a break from a tax perspective by voting for Donald Trump. Now, being a person that deal with numbers and work with numbers, I really want to know, where are they getting that information from? That is not true at all. Um, they have these tax cuts for the top 1% that's due to expire. President Biden is going to let them expire, which he should. And then President Harris, that's going to take his place, is going to let those things expire. And they should. Because how in the heck can people agree with Donald Trump giving these tax breaks to his friends, the billionaires, the billionaire club, this freedom to rain fire and terror on the country? Because that's exactly what they're doing. They're sitting down right now in many back rooms, and they are dictating policy that affects myself, you, and everybody else that's not in that class. That's what they're doing. And you say Donald Trump is going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and he's going to relieve you and your business when it comes to taxes. You've got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. Now, what I'm surprised about, and I did a blog post on this, is one of the folk that's a part of this group, Jamie Dimon, has actually come out in support of having that top 1% pay their fair share in taxes. Now, I know some people have selective hearing, they have selective vision, for what they see, but this is a real thing. And I'm not one to say that, because Jamie Dimon said this, that, oh, Jamie Dimon is the truth, because that's far from the truth. I'm saying that because, as time is getting latter, as we're getting into the latter part of the day, Jamie is realizing that what has transpired these last few years is not right. I don't think anybody that's got a moral compass would think that this is right, but greed rules all. So I could care less if you are, the man or the woman that's got what you think is this great paying job that's going to continue to focus on you, supposed quote unquote, making an astronomical amount of money, and that's going to continue. No, that's not going to continue that way, because a part of these things that were put in place has given you some benefits and some opportunities, which is good, but that don't mean that it's right. Now, we can speak of altruism because a lot of us are altruistic, but that gets you nowhere in this country. That gets you nowhere in this world. But that does not mean that you have to change. Because if you change those values and morals and become what these other folk are doing, this other part that's basically destroying not just this country, but the world, then that's something you have to deal with, because that definitely comes back to you in more ways than one. More ways than one. So when we talk about taxes, just remember, only the top 1% are going to benefit not only from a tax cut, but what Trump is going to change the tax code back to. Now, the changes that Biden has implemented in the code, they primarily they really go into effect as of this next tax cycle, because it takes a while to cycle through. So they're actually going to go into effect now. Now, my thing is, everybody's screaming about the top 1% paying their taxes. Why is it that they're upset that the Biden administration put in the effect of the child tax credit? Now, they want to scream and say that's welfare. But what about the welfare that's given to the top 1%? So is it that they're supposed to have welfare, but the lower class are not? Now, this is just logic, because I'm not telling anybody who to vote for and how to vote. I'm telling you to vote what's real, because if you honestly think you're going to be able to, one, get business loans, you're going to be able to afford a house, you're going to be able to afford a car, you're going to be able to afford the kids that you have, because remember, you got to pay child care. The purpose of the child tax credit is to assist and pay for the child care. So how do we have that this way and not the other? So, let's just work that out and let's see how that comes to be, because nobody can tell me that doing that is going to work, because it's not. That's not going to work. And I don't agree with that, which is why I think, for one, if you've created, if you've done the crimes and the things that that man has done, there's no way I can vote for him. My moral compass would never let me vote for him because everything that he does not benefit somebody, for one, that looks like me, and for how I'm trying to live my life to be a better, prosperous person. That's not going to happen because that does not include me. And so, what I say to you is that when you're listening to these folk, that is even the ones that's in Hollywood and wherever they are, and they're talking about some of them that's talking about they want to vote for Trump, I want you to know that that tax cut that he wants to put in place, that's not even going to help them. That's not even going to help them because they're not in the top 1%. So if they're not in the top 1%, why are they trying to influence you, those that are on the other side of that? Why are they trying to influence you to vote against your interests and to vote for somebody like Donald Trump? Just think logically about that and just weigh your options a little bit more. Because I mean, you could weigh your options and you could say, hey, that this is probably going to be the best bet for me. And if that's what you do, that's what you do. People have to respect that because that's your right. But to sit here and lie on the airwaves and have people lying for them, to tell people to vote for him because he's the better choice, the hell? How is this man a better choice for this country when he tried to attack the country? You know, even these these folks that he's partnering with that's across the water in all these different countries with all these dictators that's got one thing in mind: destroy democracy and have everything be an autocracy. Is that what America has become? I really don't think it has, but for some people that's what they want, because repressing people that doesn't look like folk that they feel like are in the favor is what's supposed to happen. You know, you got folks claiming that this is their country when it's not their country. It's not. So when you think about the founding and you're thinking about thievery and you're thinking about the things that that people do, to enhance others but repress others, and then find a way to throw bricks and hide their hands, and they've already robbed people and killed people, and then they come back and say, oh, that's a robber and that's a thief. They want to say this person's done it, but they are doing it already. They have done it several times and are still doing it. Let's talk about the healthcare part. The Affordable Health Care Act, which was passed under the Obama administration, has done wonders and has allowed more than 35 million people to get health care. Now, the problem that we got is we have particular states that has to pay into the exchange, but refuse to let the people that live in their states take part. You heard me. And when I say that, I'm primarily mentioning an enormous amount of states here in the South, Southeast, and Southwest that are refusing to let people get what they're paying for. Now, the Affordable Health Care Act is helping an enormous amount of people in a lot of ways. And Trump has promised that he's going to get rid of the Affordable Health Care Act, but has yet to tell people in all this time, the 4 years that he was there in office when he tried to kill it and it did not work, the 4 years after that when he lost to Biden, and still mentioning the same thing, but has yet to mention a plan. Now, I don't know too many people that can go to the doctor now and not pay much in a healthcare bill that would say, I want you to take my healthcare away so I can pay a whole lot more. Now, when I talk about these exchanges, the way they work is that you're already paying low prices. They could be even lower if certain states were allowed to take part in the exchange. On the other side of the Mason-Dixon, each and every one of those states at the top coming across, that's from New England, all the way across the top. That's we're gonna go past Minnesota, which is still a part of that, but going over into the Northwest, and then you come down to the West Coast. Everybody's in the exchange except for parts of the South, that is the South, Southeast, Southwest, parts of the Midwest. They're not a part of the exchange because they say, "Oh, that's liberal Obamacare. We're not gonna pay that part." Because they're not paying that part, but they still got to pay into the exchange regardless of the case, because it's a national medical plan for everyone to take part in. So every state has to take part in that. So the parts that they're paying into it is benefiting everybody else that's into the exchange. Where now they're paying little to nothing for healthcare, but you got the areas that I mentioned where that's not a part of it, where you've got people paying an enormous amount of money for healthcare that they really should not be paying. They've negotiated prices when it comes to certain medications, and soon to be hopefully most to all medications, because the R&D is done here in America. So as it goes across the water to all these other states and to all these other countries, shall I say, these people are paying little to nothing for what's been done here. So as it's done here in America, the price is like all off the chart. You can't even measure it, and people can't afford it. But this is what most people are saying. They want Trump in office because they know he's gonna try to do this. But if he does this, this is gonna make it even worse. He's also the reason why inflation was as high as it was, because of the damn tax cuts. But what are people thinking about that? Oh, Joe Biden has caused inflation. Joe Biden has caused inflation. How the hell Joe Biden caused inflation when he wasn't even in office? He had to come in office and to fix the mess that this idiot left behind. And he wants to do it again. But also, he wants to become a king so he can stay in office forever. And if he stays in office forever, then I can rest assure you, the majority of us, more than half this country, I promise you, would not even be afforded the opportunity to make a living. You wouldn't even have that opportunity because you couldn't. So with that being said, now we know that he's a criminal, and he's already been charged and indicted 99 times with 4 different cases. Now there's only one last chance to get him before the election, and that's the case in DC. I am so hoping, I am so praying that Jack Smith can actually get his ass into court and they charge him. I don't want to wait till after the election when he loses, because he's going to lose. And of course, they're going to try to run that same muck that they did in 2020. I know he's going to lose, but that same muck that he's going to try, people need to be preparing for that right now. Because if you've got any sense and you've had the opportunity, which I think everybody should take the time to read that 2025 project, what they plan on doing from this conservative base, that even includes these folks that's in these evangelical folk. These religious folk are also a part of that. This is what these people are doing, where they're trying to take rights. And what makes America great again? Where black and brown people and women are not afforded the right to vote. You heard me. Black and brown people and women are not afforded the right to vote, is what the 2025 project is really trying to inject right now. Because you got so many states that's already come up with these voter laws and voter ID laws that it's just crazy. And so to let you know just how harsh this is, I mean, DOJ just recently, that is like 2-3 weeks ago, just had to sue the state of Alabama for purging voter rolls. Purging voter rolls just now 2-3 weeks ago. Kicking people off voter rolls because they don't want black and brown people to vote. Now, if that's not repressionist, if that's not racist, what the hell is it? Because apparently some of y'all can't even stand up and say what's true or what's false, or tell people exactly what it is that you feel and why you feel that way. And the reason why you can't do it is because you know that if you actually get up and come into any forum and you telling people that kind of crap, they're going to look at you, one, for the worst person that you are, but also going to realize that you're not for everybody, and you're not trying to make this world a better place. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make it for one. You're trying to make it for one. But the majority will always outrule the minority. That's what I said, the majority. And that majority being people that look like myself. We're the majority. The only reason why it's not working the way it should is because that minority has a hold of the system. And when I say have a hold of the system, that is from financial to education. And speaking of education, that's another part of that 2025 project where they're actually trying to take away minority, or what they call black and brown students, in what they consider to be the major creme de la creme universities. And how they're doing this is what even was considered HBCUs are also being turned into these other universities that are still pushing this process of trying to keep black and brown students out of higher education. That's what we're reverting back to. We're reverting back to these folk actually trying to control a woman's body. If this idiot was to be lucky enough to get back into the White House, there's a national abortion ban. And we all know that that's only concerning women. But we've got these old white men up in the Congress, those that are undercover homosexuals, as well as the ones that are undercover hating their wives, trying to destroy a woman's right to choose. How in the hell can you tell somebody what they can and cannot do? You know, I really don't get that function, but apparently, you know, for some people that works, especially if you can say, I'm going to give you, I want to give you $3 million. I want you to vote for Donald Trump. And I also want you to tell people they need to vote for Donald Trump because that's what he needs. That's what they need to do. Donald Trump needs to be president of the United States. And they get marching orders because they got money, and they go and they do that. So I'll tell you, truth be told, I think if we actually really had some real sense about what was happening here in this country, I think the majority of us would know that it takes a whole group of people in order to make things happen. Now, myself, I like to shine a light on issues just like this because they're real. They're the truth. I'm not adding to it. That means that there's no embellishments. That's what's happening. And so it's the truth that causes problems for an enormous amount of people because they really just don't get the whole gist as to why is it that why is this happening, or why are these people trying to do this where they feel like I don't have rights. And I have to go back to myself and I say, when you say I don't have rights, why are you trying to take away what's already afforded to me and repress me and say that I don't have a right to have rights? I don't have a right to have rights. That just does not work for me. That does not work. And I really wish and I hope that as people decide about voting, that they use their mind, their body, and their soul, and they solely think before voting for someone that's soulless like that could possibly lead this country. That's a soulless individual. Because I think anytime you can do the things to the women that he's done and he's got away with it, is with that stacked Supreme Court. Oh no, and they're just as lawless as he is. Because we're talking about law. And we all knew, most of us that look like me know and knew that there are two different justice systems. And we're seeing the one that represses everybody else in full swing right now. Full swing. What are they doing? They're going around, they're creating new law as we speak. They say that the crimes that this that this person has done, he has immunity for all of those crimes and he should never be charged. Oh boy. Let me tell you something. Even for the folk that he associated with and affiliated himself with, there's somebody that looks just like me that's doing the same thing. But in his case, they're running him through the mill. I'm not going to call the name because y'all know who I'm talking about. They run him through the mill. But that don't make two wrongs a right. That does not make two wrongs a right. That don't make two rights a wrong. That's just saying that this is a situation that more than needs to be looked at. People need to understand what they're doing. And I'll tell you, if you don't understand what you're doing, then just sit down and talk to somebody about it and just ask them, what do they feel about some of these things? Because, I mean, this is just totally just not right. And so, just so for some of you all to know, they've already started early voting in some states. Well, I'm here in Georgia, here in the metro Atlanta area. And early voting starts on the 13th. That's 4 days away. So with today being Wednesday, so that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That means next Monday. Next Monday, we'll be early voting here in Georgia. I suggest for those of you that vote early and those that don't but should, go and vote early. Find out where what's a place next to you where you can go and early vote. And go vote. I mean, just go and just vote. I mean, I still say vote your conscience. And I can concretely tell each and every individual that's watching this right now, I'm voting for Kamala Harris because I feel like that my life could be a whole lot better with an individual like her in the White House. No, I know that everything that I stand for, I'm not going to get that, but I'll get a whole lot of that. When it comes to Trump, I will get none of that. None of that. And I'm telling you, there is no way I would vote for somebody like that. There is no way. Just simply no way. And I'm appalled that people that look like me are creating these coalitions talking about they're going to vote for Donald Trump. And so I'll say this, for all of those that are doing that, hey, that's your right. You can do that. But please stop lying to people and trying to persuade people to vote against their interest in voting for him, because that definitely does not work. Because you may be getting paid, they're putting money in your pocket to do that. That does not mean that you have the right. That does not mean that you have the right to lie and try to persuade somebody to do something like that against their will. That is just not right. Because they want to pay you $3, $4, $5 million. to go out and do that, even though you think that that's something that's going to help you, it's not going to help you either. So hopefully you'll get a chance to keep that free money because you did what they asked you to do, but he won't win. He's not going to win because there's a higher, better stake in what's to be for the future than have somebody like that's in the that wants to occupy the Oval Office again and don't know what the hell he's doing. And everybody else outside of him is actually pitching in and writing policy. And you got all these criminals that's in the Congress and in the Senate that's sitting up there knowing that this is a lie, but they think they're trying to steal as much money as they can from the everyday person, trying to steal as much money as they possibly can to have a cushion. So, oh, my friends can benefit, my family can benefit. Oh, I got this for this and I got that and so forth. Yeah, but it's all unethical and nobody's holding any of these people accountable. I say everybody should challenge each and every last one of those pieces of crap that's in both the Congress and the Senate that ain't doing their jobs. Please go challenge them. Challenge them and get their asses out of the office because they're not doing the bidding for the people. They're doing the bidding of all these corporate culture folk. See, that's why now what's on the brink of about to happen is that now we're probably going to get ready to go into a war. Yeah. And we all know that nobody wants to go into a war, but we got folks that have actually created and they've already caused that situation to most likely pop off because nobody had the gall to tell some people that they're wrong. Can't tell them that they're wrong. Can't tell them that they're wrong. But you just go along and you just keep going with this and you just let it happen and you let it happen and you let it happen. And the next thing you know, now it's going to turn into most likely World War III. All for no reason, all about greed. All about greed. But you know, money ain't everything. And I can tell you this, I would never want to be the richest man in the world or be one of the richest people in the world. I would never want to do that. I would want to be as comfortable as I'm supposed to be and continue to give back and grow all of the underserved communities, which is the reason and the purpose of this show. It's not about greed. It's not about greed. But I'm sure calling out these people, like I will be doing, is going to have some repercussions. And those repercussions I would definitely be ready for. But I think it's something that we all should be doing, not just groups of people. Everybody should be calling these people out. Because if you don't call these people out, then you allow all of this evil to continue to just walk through and around anywhere it wants to go and continues to cause harm to people where it's repressing folks so that the homeless population is getting larger. But they want people to vote for Donald Trump. I've actually had some people told me that they're voting for Donald Trump because of a stimulus check. A stimulus check. Now, we all know Donald Trump did not give out a stimulus check. That stimulus check is taxpayer money. He was upset because he wanted to put his name on the check. And people think now they got a check from Donald Trump. Are you serious? Are you serious? A stimulus check. Well, remember, did you all forget that Biden gave you a stimulus check? Did you all forget that? If you forgot that, then that's understandable. I'm here to remind you. Biden gave you a stimulus check, if that's the case. But Biden didn't give you a stimulus check either. That came from the Congress. That's taxpayer dollars. Oh my God. this is like one of the most craziest things I think I've ever had to deal with, because I really don't even know how to feel. And the reason why I don't know how to feel is because, you got some of these news outlets that are sitting there playing with people, playing this Jedi mind trick where they're helping to spread the lies, but they're doing it from behind and telling people all this craziness. So it's basically like this. If you got people sowing seeds, and because you see that seed on the ground, you may know what that seed is, but should you really pick up that seed and run with it? No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. I'm going to tell you like this. For those people that feel like, especially, wait, I'm sorry. Let me go back and let me start this over again. I want to go back because I want to ask this question about this Black Men for Trump thing. Okay, I don't know where the hell that came from. I didn't get a call. I didn't get an invitation, and I damn sure didn't vote for that. So I want to know, where did that come from? Don't group a stereotype me as a black man and other black men that are against that bull crap. Because if a lot of us know better than to say we're going to vote against our interests and say we want to put somebody that's going to repress us and continue to have police brutality get worse against black men. Why would we vote that way? And we know the folk that's starting that too. And so you all deserve to be called out as well. Even more. Because you're deceiving people as much as anybody else. Your deceptiveness is just like threefold. And it's threefold because you're trying to exploit the very same communities that we're trying to build, which are the underserved communities. And you look just like these people, but yet still you're taking them to the slaughter. You want to lead these people to the slaughter so they can be killed. Yeah, that's very drastic, but it's true. Because if people are already having tough times living, why in the hell are you going to influence them to make it even worse? That just does not make sense. Come on, people. Somebody tell me, what's the real deal? What's the real deal? I mean, are you guys doing this because you got paid? Or are you guys doing this because you just feel like, oh, okay, I just feel like doing this? Or I want to do this because I really believe this. I mean, I want to know what's the real deal behind that, because that really does not make sense to me. It does not. And so I'm asking because I think we all deserve explanations or some understandings when it comes to things that are so major like this, because this is like life and death. And if it's life and death, I'd be damned if I'm going to put my head on the chopping block for somebody that don't even deserve the opportunity to even be sitting there to run for president of the United States. When they say you have a felony, you can't run. But there's exceptions for felonies based on the Supreme Court. Because if there's anybody else that's out there that's trying to do that, they don't even allow your ass to vote, much longer say you can run for office. And that's probably any office. But yet and still, you got folks that's talking about, former President Trump is just doing such a wonderful job. What wonderful job is he doing or has he done? What he did was almost destroyed this country and destroyed half the world. Why y'all want to put somebody back up in there like that again? And I think if anybody, the folk that want to do that, and I just tell you my opinion, and that is, you're just as evil as he is if you're agreeing to doing that kind of crap. That's just pure evil. That's pure evil. Because you can't tell me that repressing people and taking away rights of other folk is where you guys want to be. I mean, you can come and explain it to me so I can understand it a whole lot better, because maybe I'm just not seeing that point of where this destruction, how this destruction is supposed to be good and the people it's supposed to be good for, because it damn sure ain't good for me. There's no benefit in that for me, because I ain't trying to repress nobody. I ain't trying to kill nobody. I'm not trying to take away nobody's rights. I ain't trying to do that. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to help get those things done and institute it. Because supposedly we're supposed to be governed by a constitution. Well, I don't see that constitution working right now, because I've never seen it work for somebody that look like me. And I'm sure that it's going to take somewhere in the future for this younger generation to make that happen, because it's not going to happen at the immediate moment. None of this happens immediately. None of this. But if people will stop trying to destroy folk and come up and actually start helping folk, then you never know what you may get. You never know what you may get. And this is just being honest, because why is it that most people in this country feel like people that look like me have to be a criminal, has got to be some kind of con artist, and is always trying to steal and get over on people, when it's those folk that's doing that right now and have done it forever since the beginning of time? How does that work? That's what I want to understand. I really do want to understand this. I had no idea, just so you guys understand, I had a guest that canceled today. And because he canceled, I had to get this out of my craw, because it's been bothering me now for the last 3 months. It's bothered me before then, but now it's like at a boiling point. It's at a breaking point, because nobody's willing to take a stand and tell people what's right and what's wrong. Politics will get you killed. Politics will get you killed. Yeah, it would. So I understand exactly what I'm saying and why I'm saying it. But that does not matter to me, as long as I speak the truth, and I speak the real truth. So help me, God. Oh boy. I'm just like, I'm at a loss, but I will tell you, I pray and I hope that people know to do better and will do better. When it comes down to these political figures and when it comes down to everyday life, I pray and I hope that people know and learn what it is to reach out and grab back and pull people forward, or to just help people in general. Because if you don't, being selfish is going to get you nowhere. You can be just like the rest of these folks that's running around here thinking, "Oh, I got enough money. I got money for me and my family." That's not going to last you, because all those things that you partook in to get to that point, they're going to come back. Karma, she always come back. She always come back. And when she come back, she don't have to hit you directly, but she hits around you a few times before she get to you. That's what she does. That's what she does. You know, I also was speaking about in this 2025 project about education. Nobody's actually speaking out now as to what happened or what transpired when these people went to the Supreme Court and they struck down affirmative action. You know, now there's now a shortage in registrations in what they call quote unquote these major main universities when it comes to black and brown students. They're not at those schools anymore. Now that we're going to go back and people not understanding the premise and the purpose of DEI, and they're saying that we don't need to have diversity, equity, and inclusion. So remember, that's what DEI stands for: diversity, equity, and inclusion. The diversity and the equity, they're saying, yeah, we can understand that. The inclusion, they don't want that. And when I say they, I'm talking about these very same little nasty criminals that's up there in that Congress and and in the Senate in DC, and all of these particular states, state governors and attorney generals that are running around here trying to destroy the rights of people. They're doing it for a reason. They think that we're going to revert back to 1955. And if we reverted back to 1955, how many people you think will be compliant with that kind of madness? No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And I think before that happens, people will more than voice their opinions, because I mean nobody is about being repressed. So I'm just kind of like stuck, like in a wharf, like, why are we really doing this? I really don't understand. And I really want to understand what's the meaning. I mean, if somebody could really tell me, I mean, I really want to hear and I want to know, what is it that makes you feel like you have to be a repressionist? What is it that makes you feel like you have to be a racist? What is it that makes you feel like you just have to downgrade and denigrate people and to keep people from doing what they need to be doing in their lives? Why are you trying to take those things away? Why are so many people quick to say they understand when they listen to that? I mean, I've listened to so much of that rhetoric that is sickening, that there's no way I could listen to that anymore. And I will not listen to it, because I'll just tell you like this. If it's up to America in black and white, I want you to know that we will start a voter drive at the end of this election, because we're going to get people registered to vote for every time voting comes around, for every election. But people need to remember this: all politics are local. Because let me just tell you what happened here in Georgia. Here in Georgia, the voting commission, the voter commission, whichever you want to call them, came up with this thing where they wanted to override what's done via Secretary of State and say all votes on election day will be hand counted before submitted. Now, the premise is to slow down the election and the count. That all on election day, all votes will be hand counted. Now, there's been an appeal to that we knew that was going to happen, but just when you think about that, and you're thinking about Metro Atlanta. Metro Atlanta itself, supposedly by 2025, will have 11 million people in this populated area of, I think it's 8 to 11 counties. 11 million people, which almost doubles the population of South Georgia itself. Now, you know the reason why that commission or the voting commissioners enacted this. That is because they want to make sure that they can find a way to discount ballots and throw them in the trash. For real, which is what they tried to claim happened in 2020, which was the biggest lie in the world. It was founded that there was no issue here in Georgia when it came to that 2020 election. But they went and they wanted to overstep their bounds to do this. But I will say, thank God that some part of the Democratic Party had a mind, because they actually challenged this. And this is going to be seen in court after this election. So that won't be happening, but it's the thought process in general, meaning that there's so many black and brown people in this particular area itself, in this populace, so many that we can't possibly have everybody voting. Well, I tell you, I think that when all is said and done, they're going to be like, I wish I had not done that, because what is going to happen is, just as I stated earlier, Kamala Harris will become president of the United States, and all that wishful thinking for all these people that have been paid to push Donald Trump, y'all got y'all some free money unless those folks put you on a plantation to make you work it off. How does that sound? That don't even sound right. That doesn't even sound right. That sounds derogatory. That sounds nasty. And that sounds really, really horrible to even think that way. Well, those are the thought processes that you guys are having right now, because that's why you're telling people to vote for Donald Trump. That's why you're telling people to vote for Donald Trump. But thank God he won't get that opportunity, because as he's running now, he won't win. And hopefully his ass will be locked up in jail. You know, as they chanted that Hillary Clinton thing, lock her up, lock him up, lock him up, lock him up. Yes, lock his ass up. He deserves prison, under prison, under prison. I can go and I can serve this country, and I come back from the active duty as a honorable discharge veteran, and have my life just totally be as harsh as it could possibly be, and not even have nearly the opportunities I deserve that I earned. This piece of crap can lie and draft and dodge the draft, and then people say, oh, he's a great businessman. But 6 bankruptcies doesn't tell me that he's a great businessman. It tells me he's a fool. It tells me he doesn't know the first thing about business. But people are trying to crown him the king. But he's not. I'm the king. You're looking at the king right now. Me. I'm the king. I'm the king. I've never raped a woman or anybody. I've never done half the things that man has done. I mean, I'm not in their little tracking system that they have for that they do with criminals, but he is, and they need to make sure that they get him. They need to make sure that they get him. I hope you guys listen to this, and I hope each and every individual that has not registered to vote go register to vote. And please vote, especially if you're here in Georgia. Early voting starts on the 13th. Please, people, go out and vote. I don't care who you vote for, but vote. Just go vote. Just go vote. You guys do it the way you're supposed to. I thank you all for taking the time to listen. We will see you guys tomorrow with another great show. You guys have a great evening, and thank you again for listening to America in Black.